there's a good way to start the video. So I've been missing for a few weeks. I did a workcation a couple weeks ago where I worked outside of the area, just because then I can work without distractions. And that's in, you know, work and personal, right? And so I got to work whenever I wanted. It was great. Don't think that I didn't put in my 45 to 50 hours though, because I sure did. But anyways, I didn't do one last week because I didn't know what to talk about. And even this week I'm kind of struggling because I feel like I've said everything. And I know that there are always new people coming around and that I should say things from way back when to kind of keep educating people. And that's the point of these, is to educate, whether it's about how animals are, how we work. There's so much that people don't know that they think they know. And of course, most people are probably going to see the title on this and be like, of course you have compassion fatigue and burnout because the animals must be really hard. And I'm going to be honest with you. It is not the animals that burn us out. It is not. We might have some compassion fatigue for the animals. But honestly, most of the time, it's people. And it's not just strangers who are jerks to us. It is the people who are truly trying to help, and maybe we can't help them. And so, you know, that's really hard. It's also the people sometimes that you are around, your family, your friends, and even people who are supposed to be on your side. Sometimes they're the reason that you feel burnout and compassion fatigue because of the comments that get made, the statements that get said, whether they mean it in a good way or not. People don't realize the kind of stuff they can say. So of course we get conundrums on both sides, right? On the one hand, we don't pay our employees enough. I agree. But on the other hand, that would mean we'd need to ask for more money because we don't have anywhere that money just magically falls from, right? So we also get, we get it on both sides of being a humane agent, and you go and you check on these animals, and of course the person you're checking on, sometimes they're jerks, sometimes they're actually very nice, and they're nicer than the people who reported them. And they're very understanding, and sometimes they're not, okay? And that makes more sense. What gets us is when we get the people who are reporting who are really jerks about it to us, and we're like, really? Do you want us to go check it out? Or the people who want us to check it out but not actually do anything to get them in trouble. Well, if they're doing something wrong, we kind of have to, right? So you kind of can't have it both ways. You can't send the cops to pick somebody up who robbed a store, but don't put them in jail. Just tell them not to do it again. That's not how it works. So, we get a lot of stuff from both sides. Literally, like, one side to the next. And sometimes it's from the same people. And you're just like, I don't understand. We don't do this work for even recognition, because other than my face, most of the time you don't even know who works there. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that are doing a lot of great work. And they get paid a lot less than walking into Walmart and stocking shelves and not knowing how to do anything. And we get that. Walmart makes a profit, and we're not supposed to. And that's fine. People drawn to this work who actually stay in it, they don't stay in it for those reasons. They stay in it because it's what matters to them, that despite the fact that they could do something else that would probably cause them less stress and interfere with their personal lives less, and make more money for a given, have more benefits, but they're here because it's their passion. And there's so much, like my whole duck on the water thingy, like that's just nobody understands how much that is. There's just a ton of stuff that happens that nobody sees. And they just kind of, it's like they're like, well, we know you're busy because you say you're busy, or we believe you, but at the same time, we're a little concerned that XYZ is not being done. Okay, well, there's a lot of things that we don't tell you, that we can't tell you. If I told you what we went through in a daily basis, y'all, for one thing, would quit watching, right? You'd quit talking. You'd quit following us, because it's not a lot of exciting things. It's a lot of like hard work, did this again today, over and over and over again, and still hoping that this dog that's starting to lose their mind in the kennel somehow gets adopted quickly. Most people have never worked a job where they turn out the lights and go home and then spend their night worrying about what's happening at work. I'm not saying there aren't people out there who don't have stressful jobs. They do. But our work falls into like doctors, nurses, paramedics, trying to think who else, police officers, people who help domestic violence or children's services, right? Anything like that where you're dealing with bad situations, or people or animals, living things, right? Vets, a veterinarian. I don't know why I didn't think about that. That was definitely on the list. But anybody like that, you don't turn off the lights, clock out, and then all of that worry goes away. All of those kind of people go home and worry, is that domestic violence person actually going to leave tomorrow like they said? That police officer goes to that place and they can tell that there's something off, but there's not enough for them to do anything, and they worry about it. They wonder about it. Children's services send children back to people, and they wonder and they worry. Okay, that does fall into this category. And you know what? None of those people make enough money for what they deal with. None of them. And every one of them who actually is there doing a good job is there because some part of them is crazy. That's what we call it. Because they have this passion for putting themselves in these situations when we could all go somewhere else and make money, more money, and do less, right? Most of my employees could all go make more money, go to Walmart, have a lot less. They will literally clock out and not worry about whether those shelves are stocked when they get there tomorrow. They're not going to worry about the peaches being okay overnight by themselves, and that they might get a little shelf crazy and have to make a hard decision. But they come every day, right? And they put their hearts and souls into it. They come when they don't feel good. They come when they're tired. They are walking dogs in this ridiculous heat because it's the only way they get out of their kennels. They clean up poop and pee every single morning. They know when they walk in the door, they got 2 and 3 hours of cleaning to go through. And, they're checking on everybody. It's a difficult job. I've literally had people come get hired and don't even make it through the day. Like, leave on lunch and don't come back. Now, I know that can happen in a lot of places, and I'm not saying anything like that, but that's the thing. We get the comments, oh, your job is so hard, I could never do it. Fair. We know there are lots of people who are not suited for this work. We've seen it. But then on the same hand, we get people who say, your job's not that hard. It's not that hard. Sometimes it's the same people. And you're just like, what? Which is it? We've had volunteers who couldn't hang. I gave up trying to get, people were always like, we should try to get volunteers that we don't have to pay so many people. I totally agree. I agree. But volunteer-run places that aren't foster-based rescues have a hard time. There are some humane societies. Last I checked, Clinton County Humane Society is completely volunteer-run. We get a lot of complaints that they never hear anything from anybody there. It's because they're volunteer-run, and if they only have 2 volunteers show up, the animals have to be taken care of first. It's clean them up and get them adopted after any vetting that's done, and then I'll get to all these other things, right? there was another Humane Society, Paws Humane Society over in Clinton County as well, tried to do volunteer. And as far as I'm aware, they're really mostly volunteer. And they've done well. That's great. They've really had a good volunteer base. I'm definitely jealous of it. But they have also had to go to hiring a couple of people, because those are your most, like, the animals need you to clean and care for them every day, whether volunteers show up or not, right? Somebody's got to do it. So I've tried. And one of the things we used to try is having someone come and answer the phones, right? Just be the person who's constantly answering the phone, so that at least somebody can talk to someone, ask us a question. We made up these charts with the most common questions, because to be honest, 9 times out of 10 the question is on there. It's about our spay and neuter programs, it's about how to surrender an animal, it's how do we report animal neglect, blah blah blah, right? It's pretty easy. It's not easy in that the phone doesn't stop ringing. It's not easy that you have to tell people, no, we're not taking cats right now, or when an owner is crying and they have an animal that they need help with and we don't have an owner's program. But it's not physically hard, and usually it'd be like 1 time a week for 4 or 5 hours. And I have had no luck with that. I've had 3 volunteers do it, and they've all quit within a couple of months, because that 1 day a week for 4 or 5 hours is just too hard on them. Now imagine doing that 5 or 6 days a week for the whole year, years and years. That's what we're doing. And it doesn't get easier. It gets a little easier to mask what you're feeling, but you're still feeling it. But if we cried with every person, if we let every no be emotional from us, yeah, nobody's staying. We're all breaking into, because who wants to go to a job where you're literally going to cry all day? Like, that's I'm sorry, if you do that, you probably shouldn't work there. Now, if you get to the point where you don't feel anything, yeah, it's time to go too, right? You got to have some feelings in it, and that's the problem. You've got to have your heart and your soul into it, knowing that it's going to get broke, knowing that it's going to hurt, knowing that you're going to cry, and knowing that you're going to go to work and tell about 8 to 10 people a day that we can't help you. And hear the desperation in their voice, and hear the concern. It's not easy. So, I always find that interesting. And that's why we have compassion fatigue and burnout. Burnout is actually the worst. We all go through compassion fatigue times, but those are actually easier to get through. A lot of times what we'll do is we maybe, because we're very open about it at work, and we try to help each other out. And even if somebody doesn't say anything, we usually can tell. So we might, avoid asking them about fostering, or they might say, I need a break. I can't take these fosters home anymore. I need to bring them back right now. That's fair. It's fine. I mean, imagine also, like, 90% of my employees work there all day, foster all night, 24/7. I mean, literally taking their work home with them, getting no pay for that fostering time, right? Which, that's just how it works. But they offer. When I would be willing to say no, they'd be like, hey, I'll take them. They weren't looking for fosters, but they don't want anything to happen to those animals, so they put themselves out there 24/7. Our chats don't stop just because you're off work. And it's not that we're trying to pull you in on when you're off work. Sometimes you're the only person that knows the answer, though, because we are a small team, and we might be like, hey, this animal is suddenly acting very odd, and I don't know, we weren't here yesterday. Was this yesterday? Or maybe you're in cats and you're normally in dogs, so you don't know anything. So you bring it in the chat and you're like, hey, this cat's like freaking out. Is it me? Is there something going on? And usually if the cat person or the cat people are off, they can't help themselves. The chat comes up and they go, no, that's just who they are. Or, oh yeah, that's different. What are they doing? Because now they're concerned what's going on, right? And they're off work. They might be at a birthday party. They might be on vacation. And that's how it works. You can't just put your phone down and walk away. You try. We all try, and I push it hard, but our phones go off. And it's one of the reasons why I push people not to do shelter business on their personal page, right? Because we already have a hard time separating just within our group of workers. But when we add other people in from the outside, and they kind of expect us to just do this stuff all the time. And I don't know any place that pays you $12 an hour, and that's the step up, that you basically are on call 24/7. But that is how we get treated. And we're not. You know, we get asked to help, and then sometimes when we can't, people get really upset. But at the same time, then we get suspicion of, why do we have so many animals? What are we doing that we're not getting them adopted? There's always suspicion in everything we do or don't do, right? You're hiding something. That's why you won't let us see the dogs. No, we're trying to do what's best for the dogs. That's what we're trying to do. And I know at one point, when I first started, people were like, oh, I bet those kennels aren't clean. You want to bet? Bet me. Bet me that those kennels are not clean. Now, do we walk around and clean up the second a mess is made? No. At least we're not home. If my animal messes on the floor, of course I pick it up right then, right? But I don't have 80 animals. Because if I did, I'd be a hoarder. And we've never seen a clean hoarder's house, right? It doesn't really happen. Now, doesn't mean that everybody has that. I don't know what more I can say about this, but I will say it is the people who make these comments that hurt our feelings, who, if we say anything negative about our job, our friends, our family are like, why don't you just quit? Why don't you go somewhere else? Have you ever met anybody who doesn't have a complaint about their job? And most of the time we don't immediately go, well, you should just quit. Because you're in that job for a reason, right? Whether it's the money, the benefits, the hours, you know, or in our case, the animals. And there is this page that I've been following. It's called Who Will Let the Dogs Out? And they don't just talk about dogs. They talk about cats too. And they're saying exactly what I'm saying. If everybody left the minute this was hard, who will do it? And it is getting harder and harder to find people who want to come in and do this work for what little benefits and pay that they get. And there's a huge benefit to having people stay in any job, because when you're training, that's time and money spent, because now you've got two people doing one person's job. And when you're a nonprofit and you don't have a lot of money, and you shouldn't be wasting money on things like that, that is also a big money and time suck for anyone. But any job has that. That's true for any job. Turnover is expensive. And the longer someone knows what they're doing in this business, the better for the animals, the better for the public. You get a lot less of I don't know, and I'm not sure, and waiting for answers. Our phone has constantly been a problem for people, which is why I tried to get a volunteer to come in and just sit there and literally do nothing but answer the phone. People get so upset about that phone. You know what? If I could get rid of it, I would, because it is a huge place of upset, right? We all dread answering the phone. Who's going to be on the other side, right? But I finally have some people who answer that phone happily anyways, right? Knowing that she's taking a chance that she's about to get her butt ripped, right? Because it happens. She gets yelled at for the dumbest things. She gets yelled at for things that absolutely are not her fault, nothing she can do. It's not a policy she made. It's not even our policy. Maybe it's the vet's policy. Maybe it didn't even happen here, and it was the something with the dog pound, because people can't get us separated. Dog pound gets yelled at for something that we did or did not do as well. So it goes both ways. But You never answer the phone. Well, or it always goes to voicemail. Well, if it goes to voicemail, we're either waiting on a customer, we're not open, or we're on the other line. You don't call me back. Actually, I will tell you that we are one of the most responsive shelters around. I know a couple of others. But we have people who drive 2 to 4 hours to come to us to adopt because the shelters that they're trying to get a hold of are not responsive in any form. Not in email, not in applications. Do you know how many times we have had an application come in and we have approved it so fast that they're like, oh, whoa, I thought it was going to take longer. I'm not ready. I'll need like a week or two. Because they're so used to everything taking so long. And we're like on it like that, right? We get an application. You're lucky if you wait 24 hours. I have done it because I'll do it on my off time. I'm bad about that. Like an application comes in for a dog, especially one that's been sitting for a while. I'm answering you right now. I'm not waiting. Because I'm not waiting for you to possibly pick somebody else because I took too long. We can't even get through the voicemails because the phone won't stop ringing. So you're listening to voicemail, phone starts ringing, voicemail goes away. Now all you have is this ringing phone. So either it goes to voicemail, so you can go back to what you were doing, or you answer the call and you spend 10 or 15 minutes on the call, get off, try to listen to voicemails, and the phone rings again. We got rid of the second line because I only have one person to answer the phone most of the time. Because even if I have 2 people in the office, one of them is dealing with the people that are right there in front of them, and the other one is on the phone. So the second line still goes unanswered. You know, people want to gripe about it, but anybody who sits in our shelter and works around the office will tell you that phone doesn't stop. Not at all. And there are so many times when my office person is trying to do her adoptions, which by the way is our job to get them out, or she's doing a sign up to get an animal altered, which is also super important because the more animals that get altered, the less that we're going to end up with puppies and kittens, right? There's less the animals are going to end up at the dog pound because they're not out looking for, you know, boyfriends and girlfriends. That I'll go and pull the phone in my office, and then I end up answering phones and not doing anything else. But we can't pay 2 people or 3 people to sit in the office all day because then there are laws where you don't need 3 people. Now I'm paying for people we don't need, which is why we try to do the volunteer thing. We cannot begin to predict when we're going to be busy or when the phone is going to ring off the hook, and it's almost always while we're trying to wait on people. And most of the time on the phone, I cannot solve your problem. This is what I tell people. You're standing in front of me, I'm more likely to solve your problem. I'm more likely to be able to get you signed up, get an adoption. Can't do an adoption over the phone, right? You still got to come get that animal. You still got to come and meet them. So that's not going to do any good. We have Facebook Messenger. We have email. And we're open. Stop by. We also dread the cat carrier or the box. Every time somebody comes up, as soon as we see it, we're like, oh no, we're going to have to turn them away. Oh no. Or it's injured, or it's sick, or it's going to be something gross that we're not prepared to see. Because by the way, that is a lot of our job, right? I don't know about you, but I did not want a job where I was going to see blood and guts and broken legs and bulging eyes. But here I am, because if I don't, who will? And that's what that little place is called, Who Will Let the Dogs Out. Because when people get burned out of this job and they leave, then you need a whole new set of people. And this job, including fostering and volunteering, it's typically something that people do for a couple of years at max, and then they leave. So there's high turnover regardless. It's just something that people do for a short period. There are not a ton of people who do this long term. Getting people who do it for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, those are the rare people. You know, I currently have an employee who's going on 6 years. I have 2 employees going on 3 years. And after that, I have 2 more that are going on 2 years. Everybody else is new. Nobody's even hit their year. And most of the time, most people don't hit their year. I've had people in less than a day. And one girl came in, got hired, worked a day, never heard from her again. She left. Actually, I think she left on lunch. I think she's my lunch girl. But anyways, so our burnout, it's not It's not the animals. It's not what we see. It's not what we're handling. It's not what we're doing. It is all the people that we deal with, personally and professionally, who make offhand comments, who don't realize what they're saying and how they hurt us and how they make us feel undervalued, unappreciated, even when they might be trying to say that, it still comes out hurtful. So think about that before you say things like, oh, you should totally keep that animal. That animal loves you. You're the only one that can walk that animal. Yeah, but I can't, because then I'm going to be in over my head. And if I kept every animal like that, now you're going to come and get me. That's the joke. So just think about that. Underpaid, for sure. Undervalued, for sure. I have an amazing staff. Yesterday, we took in 18 animals from an overcrowded municipal shelter that was like 100 animals over what they should have. And I had 2 people see the messages, and I just was warning the staff, like, hey, you love me. Remember that tomorrow when Monday comes, right? Because Mondays are crazy. And now I'm adding this to your plate because I had to do this on a Sunday. I had to facilitate all this on a Sunday is when I got asked, because that's when they're working and that's when they needed help. And 2 of my employees who were off and I did not ask them to come in, offered to come in and help out with the chaos because they know all that we're about to have to do and how that gets very busy for that time, and then it creeps into the rest of it. And because of them, we pretty much had it all handled within an hour and a half. And that was that really did my heart a lot of good to see that. We had 2 other people who were off who didn't, and there's nothing wrong with that either. I actually have a lot of respect for people who can put that boundary between work and personal, and I am envious of them. But that's the kind of team we have to come in on their off days. And the sad thing is that a lot of the public expect us to do that. That's the part that hurts. The expectation versus the want. And I want my people to be there because that's what they want to do, not because they're expected. So, I don't know if you wanted to hear this or not. You didn't have to listen if you didn't. But that's what I wanted to talk about today. Have a good day.